down here. But could we welcome Liz once again?
That's fine. Thank you. I asked Clive to bring this down because I want to be closer to my church family. I only get to do this once a year, and I'm taking my shoes off because I want to be comfy. Okay. It's lovely to see you all. If you don't know me, some of you may not, my name is Liz Fethersonthaugh, and Mark, my husband, and I are the founders of Eggshell Cambodia. But I think I always like to start with a few funny things. So we've got some signs to show you. Yeah, some of them are unbelievable. You'll enjoy them. So this is supposed to be a cocktail menu. This restaurant I wouldn't mind eating in. This one, he does cosmetics and perfume. I'm not sure I want to wear Miss Dr. Pong his perfume. And that one I have no description or words for. And lastly, ladies, would you be seen going into this shop? I would wear a mask. If I was going in, I would be wearing a mask. So yeah, these are the sorts of things you will see in Cambodia every day. I am married to Mark, God love me, for 45 years next month. Wow. I don't know how we did it. We have two sons, Adam, 36, and Craig, 33. A lot of you will know Adam because he's in and out of here. When he's home, he's living with us. Everywhere we go, Adam seems to follow us. So we're living with him now because he has an apartment that has enough room for Mark and I now to retire into. So that's quite good. I also have Craig's two children who are in Scotland, so 3 weeks from now I'll be heading to Scotland to see my grandchildren for a week before I head home again. Christian is getting very smart. He is 7, but he seems to connect going back to school to Nana coming. So every time I'm on Facebook with Craig, this head peeps forward and goes, "Nana, are you coming to see me soon?" So Nana's coming, but he doesn't know. Yeah, I think I'll give you a little bit of history about me and how God worked in my life. When I was 8 years old, I went to a service in Adams Street Baptist Church, which was on Dunkirk Gardens. That's where I lived. And Jesus really spoke to me and I became a Christian. I really didn't live it out very well. You know, when my dad was dying, he said to me, "You see, when you were a teenager, I loved you, but I didn't like you." So I wasn't a great teenager. Billy will tell you more about that if you want to know. But I love to read stories about missionaries. You know, when you go to the Sunday school, you always got a prize at the end. Well, I always asked for a book about somebody in another country because I loved to read what they were doing there and how God changed people's lives. So I think from 8 years old, God was with me, even when sometimes I wasn't with him. I didn't know that at 57 that I would be ending up as one of those missionaries. So why Cambodia? Well, the answer is I don't know. I had nothing to give. I was just a mother. Well, a mother's a good job. I'm not saying just a mother. It's a hard job. But I was living in comfort, and I was cruising towards retirement, and God had other plans. In Isaiah 61, 1-3, it says about bringing good news to the poor and the Lord replacing beauty for ashes. I see that every day in Cambodia. I see changed lives. And I hope that most of you are on the prayer letter and get to read the stories of how God is changing lives. People in Cambodia, still about 95% of them Buddhist. And they do live in fear because if they haven't got enough good or earned enough good karma, they think they're going to come back at a lower level when they are reincarnated. But God decided to take Mark and I out to bring his comfort and peace to the people of Cambodia. I was sitting in one of those chairs that you're in now, listening to a speaker, talking about Cambodia. And God really touched my heart. And I heard him very clearly say, "You're going." And I told Mark, and he said to me, "For good." And no, no. But I did feel then that God was asking me to go and see. But you need to understand a little bit about the history of Cambodia to understand why it's still quite a broken country. Cambodia is a farming country. Once you get out of the city, it's all little wooden houses and farms. And they maybe have one cow and a couple of sheep. And that's how they earn their living. And they will produce rice to sell. But during 1974, there was a war, a Vietnam War with America. And they used the Ho Chi Minh Trail to get the arms from the top of Vietnam to the bottom. And that caused America to decide to bomb Cambodia. So I think there's some statistics up there about how many bombs were dropped in a country that's 1.5 times the size of us. It's not a small country, a big country, it's a very small country. Because of that, the Khmer Rouge came to power. And they decided they were going to take everything from the West away and bring it back to a submissive society where everybody did as they were told, basically. If you stole a bowl of rice during that time, that was enough to get you killed. If you wore glasses, there's not so many in this service wearing glasses, it must be a younger crowd or something. If you wore glasses, they knew you were educated because you could read. You didn't need glasses if you didn't read. If they shook your hand and your hand was soft, well, you weren't a farmer because they don't use big machinery. They use the bull carts that you saw there. And even today, they don't use a lot of machinery. They do everything by hand. It amazes me to see the construction sites when they're pulling up the cement in a bucket and a hoist. It's just not done. Or digging up the roads, it's all done by hand. Because of this, there was over 3 million people died during that time. It's still impacting the country today. PTSD is very high because it's been passed down from one generation to the next, because that generation will not talk about what has happened and they are not healing from it. When I was in Rwanda, the difference was that they're 95% the other way, in that they will talk together about the atrocities that happened, but they won't. They're scared to talk about what happened to their families. Today, the poverty in the country is around 50%. After COVID nearly killed that country completely. We had to give food to people on the streets because they just had no way of earning money. If you hadn't tourists coming and you worked to get money from them, there was nothing. So it very nearly killed the whole country. So things that normally you wouldn't think of, people will do to try and earn money. And you've got to think about that. You wouldn't walk in their shoes if you had a choice. This is a massage parlor in Phnom Penh. It makes me very sad when I go past. There's about 5 streets in the main area, and the girls are all sitting in plastic chairs outside, calling the men in to get them to buy a drink. Because if they buy a drink, they get a small commission on that, but then they will offer other services. It's not something that you would want your daughter or your son to do, but sometimes there's no choice. This is a tally sheet from one of those massage parlors. Girl number 4, this is 5 p.m. in the evening, has had 18 clients. And it's open 24 hours a day. Children can work in the massage parlors from the age of 14, but they are not allowed any physical contact until they're 17. But that's rarely what happens. There was a raid done extremely close to our daycare about a month ago. 124 girls were rescued, and 14 of those were minors. Now, the very fact that in the newspaper it said they were minors meant they were under 14. So it's when it gets a bit close like that, you know that God has you there for a specific reason, to keep these children safe. This little girl, this is who started me on this journey to Cambodia. I heard about her from that speaker that day that I was here. And she was 5. She'd just gone to kids club, gone home with her sweets, her bag of sweets. And this is her 15 minutes later outside a coffee shop waiting for a client. I couldn't get her face out of my head, and I felt I had to go and see what was going on. This is some of the homes that some of these children live in. You can see that it's not an easy life. Now he's looking for plastic bottles. You will get 2 cents for a kilo of plastic bottles. That's a lot of bottles. But it helps them find food for their families. So they will go out from very early in the morning to very late at night. You'll see them with a little torch on their head, still trying to collect plastic at 11, 12 o'clock at night. During a mission team in 2015, I went to a particularly bad, I know they're all bad, but this was a particularly bad one. And the children were being left on their own all day, from 1-year-old upwards, because the parents had to go out and try and find food. You were on that trip, Gail, weren't you? Yeah, it tore us all apart. There was a man lying, he had sold a child of 9 to buy his drugs, and that's him lying in the picture because we walked past him. The pastor had to leave us to go and rescue the girl because some way or other she had got to a police station, so we went to pick her up again. We were all crying that weekend on the bus because we really felt useless and helpless. And I heard myself say, we need to do something. These kids are so at risk. And that's what started Eggshell Cambodia. So I came back and we went out again in 2017. I think you were on that trip too, Gail. She goes a lot too. And we went to see this village about 40 minutes outside of the city. And the church there offered me the church to open the daycare. And I didn't want to open the daycare. I wanted to go to the slums in the middle of the city. And God was saying, no, I want you to come here. So the team that time, when we walked around the village, and I'm still going, no, this isn't where God wants me. They made a circle and they sang All for Jesus. And I knew after that that's where he wanted us to be. So 2018, we settled in Phnom Penh and we opened in September. I had 6 children. But we were getting people every day coming saying, if you can help us, we can go and find work. We can collect plastic. And we just, my husband's in prison. I have no one to look after the child, so I can't work. And we're hungry, we're starving. And the need was there. So we looked at trying to expand on that site, and that didn't work. So King and I are walking around the village one day just looking and thinking, what can we do? Do we get 2 buildings and we put them together, or what can we do? And this village, this very tall building, hang on, if I could do my slides it would be better, came up, and it had been there for 3 years and none of us had seen it. It was like God blinded us to it until he was ready to show it. So we rent this building, it's 5 stories high. It was being built as a brothel. It was being built for men to bring women to for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But thank you, God, he ran out of money and he couldn't finish it. So we now have the building. We told him we would finish the building, and we now have 30 children instead of 6. We are blessed every day to have these facilities. And now the landlord loves us, so he sends us in some rice for the children every now and again. But it's not easy to do mission. People they say, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this, and who have ever done it before, you give up a lot to do God's work. You have to give up family and things that you know. And I lost both my parents within 2 years of moving out there. So it was very difficult. in those times I wanted to be with them, and I couldn't be. So you give up, but what you get back from God is like 100 times better. I have 30 little smiling faces every morning who call me grandma, and I love them to death. You're going to see them all in a wee minute anyway. I'm going to show you a wee video from Sakeng, who is our director in Cambodia. I think some of you met her 2 years ago when she was here.
Hello everyone, my name is Sakeng and I am working at the Child's Heaven organization, and I've been working here for about 4 years, and God has put my heart to work with the children here in Cambodia because there are a lot of children are at risk, and we are located in outside of the city. There are lots of family that poor. Most of the parents are working as a construction worker, working in garment factory, and we see a lot of things that the children are left alone at home, which is not safe for them. So our goal is to help them, to keep them safe in our daycare. Most of the child that we have, they are at risk with child labor and child abuse or violence from families who's violent. So we help them. They comes every day at 8 o'clock to um, 4 o'clock, and then the parent come to pick up. Our daily activity, the children, they have many different activities, like they study Bible. When they first come in, they have snack, and then they study Bible. They have some exercise, and they have playground. We have a lot of resources that they can play, and the staff is teaching English, teaching Khmer, like alphabet, very basic word, and they have craft, and we provide 2 meal and one meal lunchtime and 2 snacks, and clean clothes every day. The children after have the nap, they wake up, the staff taking a shower and get a new clothes and get ready to go home. And yeah, this is basically what we do in every day and daily. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you.
When I told the children I was coming home, I said I'd be away for a month, and they all said, can we have chocolate tom-tom, which means big bars of chocolate. We thought it was very important that our children had a uniform. And why we wanted to do that was that some of them come in and their clothes, we have to shower them before they start the day, and wash their clothes so that they can go back and clean ones. So we thought having a uniform, there's no shame. Everybody looks the same. There's people that are visiting do not know what their homes are like. So we thought it was important that that was done. But the odd time when we've had our showers and they're putting their uniforms on, the staff have put skirts on the boys, and they're not very happy about that at all. We employ women from the village, women who cannot read or write their own language. We bring them in and we teach them how to look after children properly. They learn ABCs from me. I teach them a little bit of English, but I've now got to the point I have to watch what I say. So Kane and I'll be talking and I go, yes, I keep forgetting that they understand more than I know. So when we're doing staff reviews, we'll have to close the door now to make sure that they don't understand what we're doing. But it's given those women confidence. So I've had 2 staff members for almost 7 years who are now managers, who couldn't lift their heads when they came in. One of them in particular, her husband died when her baby was 3 months old. And she was begging for food everywhere. So for her to have a job and for us to give her things to do, she's now doing the staff reviews. And I think it's amazing to hear her complaining about you haven't done that or you haven't done that, and then, oh, that, you're doing well on that. After a woman that she cannot read or write. It's just lovely to see God's growth in those women and the confidence that they have. I've got to bring them perfume back. See, there's all a list. That's why, Billy, I have 2 suitcases with me and not just one. This is one of our staff members. But not long before I came here, she was off sick. And I got a message saying I have a sore tummy. And I thought that was a bit odd. But anyway, 2 days later, the staff member came and said to me, she didn't have a sore tummy. She tried to hang herself. She gets a good wage. Her son's in prison. You have to pay for your food in prison or you don't get any. So she's paying for him. Her daughter sells drugs and she steals motorbikes. So her mum's now paying back for that. And she just had enough. And thankfully, her husband came in and saw her hanging. I don't know, God, that's a God thing. And he got her down in time. But you can see the marks around her neck where she had tried to do that. So I sat down with her and I said, have you any idea how I would feel if I had come in 2 days ago to hear that you had died? I said, you're my family. I don't want you to do this. You need to start talking. So we got her a counsellor, and she's now speaking. We are letting the staff come down to the Bible study, and she's given her life to Jesus. So before I came away, I went to her and I said, I want to see you standing there when I come back. She has threatened to jump off a bridge over the last 2 weeks, and I'm just praying that God will heal her heart inside and tell her that she's not responsible for her adult children and she needs to let that go. So please pray for her. In the village, I'm known as Yimely, which is Grandma White Flower, because I'm the only white person. But they're taking me now as a grandma, and the grandma's yai, they will sit down and talk to me about their worries and what's happening with them. And in our Bible study group now, we have almost 20 who faithfully come every week. We don't bribe them with rice. They will get rice if they need it. But they're coming because they want to come. And the stories coming out of those Bible groups is absolutely amazing about what God has done in these women's lives. Because the older you are, the more entrenched you are in your own faith. And for them being Buddhist, it's a very difficult thing to let go of. But they've all become Christians. There was one of them whose husband said, if you go to church again, I'm going to kill you. And she said to him, well, that's okay, because I'll go and be with Jesus, so do what you want. So that was the change in her life. They also love to play games. The children also like to play games too. They can speak English when they need to. Last October, we graduated 9 children. It's always very sad to see them going. They will go to the local school, but we're very proud of what they've achieved while they've been with us. They go out knowing their basic alphabet in English and in Khmer, and there are 56 consonants in the Khmer language. That's difficult. But they come back every year for the Christmas party. And the Christmas party this year with 60 children. So that shows you what we have had through our doors since we opened in 2018. And they all get presents. It's getting bigger every year because when I go back, I will graduate another 3. We have already filled those places. I'm going to tell you a few wee stories before I finish. This little boy came to us when he was 4 months old. His father, at 4 months, decided to leave. His mum had not enough money to give him formula milk. She couldn't breastfeed. So she was giving him rice water that you would pour out of the rice that you've cooked. And that was what he was drinking as formula. So he has lung problems due to the nutrition that he had at the start. And we took him into daycare. His mum's now working in a garment factory, and she's able to make a wee bit of money to help herself. This is all what we're trying to do, is help these families help themselves at the end. He's put on weight, and he's a wee torture. Yes, I love him to death, but he's a wee torture. This wee boy, his sister, he came to us at about 6 months. His mum owed money. Now, this is a regular thing in all of Cambodia. If you've no money, you borrow it from a neighbour, and then half the time they can't afford to pay it back. She owed so much money that one evening she just disappeared. She ran. So the father came and said, I can continue to work in construction if I can get someone to look after him. We already had the wee girl. So we took him in. The wee girl is still fine. She gets very angry because she thinks her mum left because of something she did. The wee boy, he's 2 now, and he's doing very well, but he doesn't really know his mum. And we pray for her because I am sure she misses her little boy and her daughter very much. These are cousins that live beside the water. There's a big lake down near the old church. Their whole family are on drugs and alcohol. Any plastic that they collect goes to drugs. It doesn't go to feed them. So we give them extra food before they go home to make sure they have enough food in their tummies for the next day. That house has no running water, toilet, kitchen, and most days the families forget to come for them. And when they do come for them, they're unable to stand up. We're asking you to pray for this family as well, that they will find Jesus and that Jesus will find them. These children live at the edge of the water too. Same conditions, there's no bathroom. All there is in that little lean-to is a pallet that they sleep on. They have no door on it. The lake is just about 2 inches away from that end panel. And we're in rainy season at the minute, so we can get 2-3 feet of water in 10-15 minutes. And when they get that, their home is just completely flooded. And the kids are waking up with leeches on them in the mornings from whatever's in the river. Their father's in prison. So our village is very close to the prison, so a lot of people will live there so that they can go and see their husbands or their wives. And the village chief allows them to stay there for free because they're so poor. They don't go to school, these kids. We bought them uniforms and tried to get them to school, but their mother needs them to go and get plastic. So they're not really getting an education at the minute. But we feed them rice every month. I have a donor who specifically wants us to do outreach to families who have no food. So some days they'll come down and say, I haven't eaten in 3 days. And we'll go, well, why have you not been down before that? But it's a shame thing, you know. So they wait to the last minute, and when they're very hungry, they'll come and ask us, can we help? This lady also lives by the lake. This is her home. It's like a wee 6x6. Her husband is a hardened criminal. So when he gets out, he maybe lasts 2 days, and he's away back in again. When we met her, she had no food for the baby. She hadn't eaten in nearly a week. She had no nappies for the baby. And we took her wee boy, into daycare so that she could try and collect plastic or find a job. We recently had this lady with us Don't ever let God tell you that you're too old to do his work. She's 80. She came out to me for nearly 10 weeks, and she was absolutely amazing. She was a nursery nurse and a nursery teacher. And I had to tell her to slow down. I said, take a rest during the day, because she just kept going. And she says, I just love being here. So she did a lot of work with the children, teaching them how to do jigsaws, how to do their English writing, and also the staff, helping them with little extra ideas to make it more interesting for the children. When she went home, she sent me a message and she said, I feel lost. But she says, I have to buy another car and sell it so that I can come back out again. So I'll end with the children doing a song that you'll know in your own language, but they're singing it in theirs. And thank you. I'll be at the back or around after the service if you want to come and chat to me. I'd love to talk to you more about what we do. And thank you very much for listening.